Grant Brooker is a senior executive partner and head of studio at Foster & Partners. He's been with the practice since 1988 and worked on major projects like Chek Lap Kok Airport in Hong Kong, 30 St Mary Axe and Battersea Power Station. There can be few practices who, when you click on location on their website, can boast space, including Mars, and a primary school playground in Chelsea as places where they have active projects. So, Grant, how do you manage to maintain quality and culture across the wide range of work that you do?
It's about the process in which we all engage and how we work. And I'll elaborate on that. It's really about examination and challenge. And that's how we find our way to discovery. That's the real, for us, that's really the essence. But it is a constant editorial search for us where we are distilling, examining, we're taking ideas, exploring them. And that allows us really, I think, when we're working, and we really do work, it's a collaborative experience always. The scale of that changes. But it also allows people from all different angles and parts of any team to contribute. But that's the fix. That searching, distilling, pulling an idea forward, taking it apart, breaking it down to its core, then working again through that, then expanding it, seeing where it takes you. There's a fear in the way that we work in terms of we don't want to leave things behind. We don't want to not discover things. We don't want to come back to the end of a project and say, my God, why didn't we think of that? Why didn't we look at that? And of course you do miss things, but you've got to. For us, it's about that challenge. And the process, I think, is the thing, the way in which we work is the thing that connects our work, whatever the typology is, whatever the location is, whatever the what place, the role, the building, which functions, all of those buildings are examined in that same way. And they're examined by people who, in interesting way, they're drawn to the office from all around the world. So we have this always, and this has always been a thing, an amazing thing in the studio is that everybody comes from somewhere else, really. And that diverse cultural heritage that people bring, but they have a similar thought about about buildings they're interested in, and then we apply and work through those things together. And I think for us, that's the thing that's created the spirit, and that's the thing that's driven the studio. And that's the way we've always worked. That's the way we worked when I first joined the studio, and that remains exactly the same. Everybody works in the studio, and they're working exactly through these processes. And I think that's probably the thing that's driven us forward. That challenging examination, constant search, to find that perfection, the no fear of change. Those things are really the essence of his work, of how he works, and that's what's embodied in us, and that's really the legacy. That's part of the office. That's how we all work. So yeah, that's probably how we do it. Makes it sound quite straightforward, really. But it's.
I mean, there can't be many more different approaches to architecture than yours and Frank Gehry's, and you're working together now on Battersea Power Station. That's now beginning to emerge on the London skyline. Do you find there's a difference?
Frank's approach and the architecture that his studio kind of engage with is there is a search there for a dynamic, almost kinetic form of architecture and that's where all their routes and paths take them towards. That's what they're trying to discover and how they might. That's how they unlock the secret of the building. And so, and of course, that's not the path that we're looking for. But what was, I think, fascinating when the project started. I mean, obviously, they're super guys. They're clever. They're clever designers. They have a different agenda in terms of their interests. Their three-dimensional interest that is different to us. It's more specific, but still amazing. And we had the advantage of that. We've got more flexibility in terms of our approach. And the thing that we thought was very interesting there was Frank doing a whole composition, a group of buildings that were very free form, obviously, a lot of motion in them, is that we tried to respond to that not ape it, but respond to it in a soft way. They really sit on opposite sides of a very long street, almost a quarter of a kilometre, this new street that we're building between the two projects. We hug the railway line and screen the entire new boulevard, if you like, from that. But our building, we took the view that we would do something that was quite playful, or quite organic, quite soft in its form, and we would play that gentle curve over an entire building, over its entire length, against the much more dynamic form of Frankfurt, so that they spoke to one another. They're completely different architecture. Obviously, there's no tension, but there is a motion and a form in both of them. In his one, much more express, and ours relaxed, but still the sort of form. But in any collaboration, you're working with a master plan with other designers, I think they bring their excellence, their thinking, their approach, and that just makes things more interesting. It gives you more things to feed off and play around with. It's been a great experience, and hopefully the building, as it starts to emerge, as it really is now, as you say, will deliver a lot of that enthusiasm and some of that joy and excitement.
The Bloomberg building in the City of London provides quite a lot of lessons for the post-COVID office. It's got a lot of space given over to social and group activity, very green, encouraging staff to use surrounding amenities, the bars, restaurants and public spaces. So what's your thinking around the role of offices now in this area of increasing home working and potential reduction in commuting?
I'm not sure if the challenge has changed dramatically, but I think that the test is probably going to be there. And it's been that period of time, including Bloomberg, has been a really interesting, very interesting period for us, because we've been working with a lot of organizations, particularly kind of and leading and media organizations as well. And I mean from Apple, from their headquarters in Cupertino, to Comcast and their technology center headquarters really in Philadelphia, right the way through the Bloomberg and their story, and I could take you right to the other side of Southeast Asia, and building headquarters for a DJI, for example, is a leading kind of if you have a drone, DJI made it, and all of those organizations are investigating the ideal of what is the right workplace, what is the right working environment, and they all have completely different answers. And we've evolved completely different answers for all of them, specifically different. But the essential thing that they're all searching for, and they're leading, is that they need to have a collaborative and interactive environment for their teams, for all of the people that they want to do that. And they know without that, they won't attract the best people, and they'll definitely not retain them. And if people have a better environment to interact, because they do need to interact, and they can find that outside the workplace, and the workplace is about, you need to create for people now all of the opportunities that they might meet in and work in and come through. It's so far away from a standardized solution. And this, I think, for us, this sort of blurring the edges between what's social space, what's workplace, what's entertainment space. There are no edges. There actually are no blurs. They're all usable spaces and places, and you've got to be able to create all of them within that environment. And I think it's, and we learn obviously massively from these organizations that at different times saw all of their staff working outdoors. It's working remotely, as we all are now, with the fantastic technology that enables us to have survived during this period. There have been lots of different periods of this where people have tried differently, working, not having people offices, and they found that they miss too much. People don't know one another. People don't associate with one another. People don't support one another. People don't know one another's strengths. They don't know their weaknesses. They don't know how to collaborate. They don't know how to get the best. And they miss, and one thing that we've learned, they miss the accidental interactions. And accidental interactions in terms of creativity. Creativity is massive for everything that we do, every part of endeavor. Those accidental things where people help one another give somebody a bit of knowledge and understanding that they didn't realize that person possessed a different insight. Those things, that's why you need collaborative work environments. And that's why those spaces have got to be the most open and the most flexible and the most variable. And if you're going to get the best out of people, you need to address all of those things. So, what does the office of the future look like? Well, I can show you 4 or 5 of them. They all work to different degrees addressing those issues, but there isn't a template. They're different forms. Some are open, some are outward looking, but still concentrated. Some are absolutely subdivided and fragmented into small spaces, whereas other organizations are working in total free-form space, where there is an energy and a focus inside that space, and they create interaction almost theatrically and bring interest to their floors. So I think all of those things are required.
You've worked on a number of airports, and there's been some controversy about architects being involved in such projects in the face of the climate emergency. And it seems to me that one of the abiding influences on the practice has been Buckminster Fuller, who believed that if technology could provide more goods from fewer resources, then we could subvert Malthusian ideas of society's inability to feed itself. Is technology the solution rather than the problem?
Technology is not the problem. Technology is never a problem, but it's a tool. The solution is creativity. That's the core, and creativity. That's sort of humanity's ingenuity, humanity's ability to invent. The rate of growth creates enormous challenges. I lived for 6 years in Southeast Asia. It changed my view of the world completely, without question. I don't like to think of myself as being narrowly focused, but it turns out I have a classically European view, and that's challenged dramatically, being in Southeast Asia and seeing and understanding and almost the absolute joy of that societal change and expansion. Really, nation states changing out of all recognition as they evolve at a completely different pace to the world that we have seen. And that level of innovation and change is incredible. And to influence it, and it's a privilege to be able to influence it, it's not, and be part of it at whatever level you're trying to steer those things. I think that's been a fantastic part, and that's why you travel. That's why you need, and that's why you have to cross boundaries. That's why you can't influence those things. If you've never been to these places, if you've never seen them, you've never sat in them and examined them and lived them, breathed the air and go through them, how possibly can you tell people what they should be doing and how they might be doing? But what is amazing is that when you're there with people working, they are absolutely, it's like they want ideas, they want people to help them do things better and change. They want to explain to people the benefits of, that we have from our very concentrated sort of studies that we have had here. You explain to them how we have dealt with some of those issues, and that's where the interest comes. That's that they don't come with that. They go, that's where people say, that's interesting. How could you take that? How could we evolve that? How could we make those things happen? So I think it's and technology, the tools that we have now to investigate, to see, and to create are incredible. I mean, absolutely incredible. We are matching things that we are obviously as a practice are fascinated by, in terms of embodied energy, embodied carbon in products and materials, getting material data from the air, from the regions that we're working in, looking at, because what works in one place where they're manufacturing will not work somewhere else where you've got to transport it 20,000 miles. So finding what's right, what's specifically right, help people, showing people, saying, of course, this will work here. This is how we can work with these tools on this side. So technology, again, of course, it's an enabler in every single sense, but it doesn't drive creativity. It's just a tool for all of us.
Grant, thank you very much for your insights and your time.
Peter, great speaking to you.